Hi, thanks for tuning in. I'm Susan, and today I'm going to show you how to use chalk paint. This cute little table is the finished product, and I'm going to show you step by step how to achieve this look. First off, let me tell you a little bit about chalk paint. It's not new, it's been around for centuries, but it is the hot new trend for painted furniture. So I wanted to shoot a video to show you some tips on how to use it. The biggest difference between chalk paint and latex is that you do not have to sand or prime your piece. You can just paint over the surface no matter what condition it's in. And also, it usually just takes one coat, so you've saved 3 steps right there. Another difference is that we use wax to seal it rather than polyurethane. You can find chalk paint by just Googling it and finding a store nearest you that sells it, or you can order it online. It is a little pricey though. A quart of paint is around $40 and the little tin of wax is about $30, so it does add up pretty quickly. If that seems too pricey for you, there's always good old latex, and you can look at my video, How to Paint Furniture Like a Pro, with step-by-step instructions. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a damp rag and wipe the table off. We're going to paint 1 coat of the chalk paint. We're going to take clear wax and coat it and wipe that off. Then we're going to take some coarse sandpaper and distress the piece, and then we will cover the entire thing with dark wax. That'll give it sort of a nice antique look. And then the last thing we'll do is put 1 more coat of clear wax on the top for extra protection, and that's about it. It's very easy. The only other thing you have to do is wait 24 hours for it to cure. Here's what we're going to need. A soft, slightly damp cloth to wipe down the table. The chalk paint in the color of your choice, a good paintbrush, the clear wax, the dark wax, some coarse grain sandpaper, screwdriver to take off the hardware, a little plate or tray with a spoon to put the wax on, and some soft, lint-free cloth to remove the wax and buff. I want you to look at this table. It has some pretty serious issues. Here it looks like the varnish is sort of bubbling up. Over here there's some black paint, it looks like. Maybe some other nail polish remover or something over here. Big scratch over here. But none of that is going to be a problem. The paint's going to cover that all up. And besides, the thing I love about distressed furniture is all those little nicks and mars and boo-boos just give your piece another layer of interest. Okay, I started by taking out the drawer and removing the hardware. I keep mine in a little baggie so I don't lose it. Oops. Then we're simply going to wipe down the whole table, get all that dust and cobwebs off, and then we'll be ready to paint. Make sure your paint is well stirred before you start. I'm just going to use the paint right out of the can. I want to show you my cute little brush though. I get it just from the home improvement store. The reason I like it is because the little handle's rubber and it's flexible so your hand doesn't get all crampy. It's got a nice little angle to edge. Just help you get in all those little nooks and crannies. I'm just going to go ahead and start. I try not to paint this top part on the drawers just because even 1 coat of paint will make the drawer not want to close right. See how nice that's going on? It's nice and thick. Only 1 coat. I'm just going to use my brush and paint in the direction of the grain. The chalk paint does dry, has sort of a chalky look to it, but the wax is going to give it a really beautiful luster. See, when you have those drips like that, make sure you get those so that they don't dry like that. But if they do, you can always just sand them out. Well, I ended up putting 2 coats of paint on this piece, and that's the first time that's happened to me with chalk paint. But I think it's because I just didn't stir the paint well enough. Normally what I do is I leave the can upside down for about 10 minutes, and then I shake it and then stir it. But I didn't really do that yesterday because we were shooting a video. At any rate, we did put 2 coats on here, and I wanted to talk a minute about other techniques you can use with chalk paint. You can do a crackle coat, you can do a peeling paint technique, you can layer several colors on, you can even tint the clear wax with the paint. But at any rate, today we're just going to stick with this basic method. Thank you, Chloe. The paint's dry and I'm ready to do the next step, which is to use the clear wax. So I'm just going to take a spoon and put some on a little plastic lid. I'm just going to use a small amount. Then I'm going to use my cloth to apply it to the table. I'm going to start on the edge farthest away from me so I don't have to lean into the waxed area. You're going to want to go in small sections in a circular motion like this. And then the paint is going to appear to darken, but that lets you know where you've been and where you haven't. Now, I'm putting this on not too thickly. And like I said, you need to work in a small section. So I'm going to go ahead and take my clean cloth and wipe off the excess here. You can see what a nice luster that's given the piece already. Then I'm just going to continue to finish the top, and then I'll probably do each leg at a time. Like I said, just keep it in small areas and go in that circular motion. Now you can use either a cloth like this, or you can buy a special wax brush. I was on a budget though, so I just opted for the cloth. And what this is actually is drapery lining, which you can get at any fabric store. It's very inexpensive, okay? I'm going to take my clean cloth and wipe off the excess. You can kind of see in the light what you need to, you can see some kind of streaking, but with the sheen, you can kind of see where it still needs some polishing. All right, I'm going to do the legs next. Like I say, just do small sections at a time. And actually, it's not that the wax dries, it's really more of a curing process. So you really don't have to wait in between steps to do things. Like as soon as I finish putting the clear wax on, I can go right ahead to the next step, which would be to distress it. Of course, you don't have to distress yours if you don't want to. Once you're finished with this clear wax coat, you could be finished if that's what you want. One thing I do want to tell you is to walk around your piece over and over, making sure you've got it all painted and all waxed, because it's real easy to miss a leg, and then you're already up the next stage and you realize you've got to go back and do part over it again. I just finished applying the clear wax and wiping it off, and we're going to go straight away to the next step, which is to distress it. There really is no dry time. It's really more about cure time. But we're going to go ahead and start. I've got coarse grain sandpaper, 60 grit. Most people will tell you to use fine grain. I just like the way the coarse grit looks, and it goes a little quicker, so that's what I like to do. Now, when you are distressing, do it in the places where it normally would receive wear and tear, like around the edges and down the legs. I may or may not do the top of this table because this is actually a gift for somebody else. Happy birthday, Chris. I hope you like it. Some people like just a little bit of distressing. Others like it with the paint mostly gone. So I do have some advice, though. Sand it for a little while and then step back and look at it. Make sure you got it where you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Let's go start on the edges here. So you can see it's actually going through all the paint and through the original stain that was on the table down to the bare wood. You know, sometimes you end up spending more time sanding than painting. And that's actually another thing I wanted to say is, on a piece this size, every step only takes about 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes. So you could get this done in one day. Just bang, 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 get it done. But if you're busy, changing loads of laundry, cooking dinner, going to work, taking the kids to and from school, you can stop in between steps. I'm going to do the drawer. Remember, try not to get paint on that top lid so that the drawer will close well. And actually, I need to talk to you about the knob, because the knob I have is not the right color. So I think I'm going to go ahead while I'm doing this right now is change the color. It's a simple fix. Let me just finish this drawer, and then we'll do the knob. I'm going to distress around the knob, where the knob goes, just because that would be a natural wear and tear place. Okay, this is the knob that came with the little table, and it's really the wrong color. So what I want to do is I'm just going to use a little bit of this silver rub. You can get this at any little craft store. It's real easy to use. You just squirt it. I use my finger. Just squirt a little bit out like that and rub it. And it takes a minute to kind of dry, and then you're going to buff it with a cloth. And then it's just good to go. I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and then I'll buff it. You might want to wipe your finger off, though. It comes right off. By the way, with the wax and the paint, you just use easy soap and water cleanup. So that's a good thing. All right, I'm going to set that aside and go back to sanding. Like I say, you might end up spending more time sanding than painting. And one thing that I didn't mention that's very important, if you are working on an old piece, you can absolutely guarantee it's lead-based paint. So you really should sand outside and wear a mask. And then be careful with what you do with the sawdust. I have finished distressing the table. I think I got it about where I want it. Now I'm going to wipe off all the dust just because you want to make sure no that gook is on there. One thing I didn't mention before, when I put the wax on, I went in a circular motion, but when I wiped it off, I did it in a straight motion. And I also sanded in a straight motion. And also, the little silver rub has dried, so I'm just going to buff it to make it shiny. And there you have it. All right, I'm going to wipe this table down, and then we're going to put the dark wax on. It's time to put the dark wax on, and I'm going to do it in a similar way that I did the clear wax. I'm just going to take a spoonful out. It's very soft and easy to come out. It's hard to get off your spoon, but a little bit goes a long way. Then I'm going to take a cloth and apply it to the drawer. In the same way, I'm going to do it in a circular motion. You really need to get it down into all those little crevices and cracks, all the little sand marks we just made. And I try to get down into those grooves. You kind of have to use your fingernail. Okay, now I'm going to take a clean cloth and wipe off the excess. It's kind of hard to show you. So can you see that it has darkened it some? It has fallen into some of the crevices. It's darkened the wood where we had sanded all the way down to the bare wood and just kind of given it a nice shine. So basically, this drawer is done. In fact, I'll go ahead and put the knob in now. Now, after I finish putting the dark wax all over the overall piece, I am going to put one more coat of the clear wax on just the top, just for a little bit extra protection. How cute is that? Okay, I'm going to put the dark wax on the top and do it like I did before, starting farthest away from me, going in circular motions, really getting it pressed down into all those little lines and cracks and crevices. I'm going to take my cloth. You can leave as much of it as you want on. I'm taking a lot of it off. And I am kind of going in this straight line motion. And like I say, you don't have to do this step at all. I kind of overlap to make sure I got it going. And I kind of play with it a little bit, just so it doesn't look like I've just wiped on the colored wax and wiped it off. Kind of blend it a little bit so it doesn't look so artificial. All right, I'm just going to continue around the legs and the bottom, and then after putting the clear coat on the top, done. I finished with the dark wax and wiping it off, and I went ahead and applied the final coat of clear coat on the top and buffed it out. That does take a fair amount of elbow grease to get that nice lustery shine. But that will protect and seal your paint. I would still use a coaster with this table. It does need to cure for at least 24 hours before you use it. And if you were doing something like a kitchen table, I would let that cure for at least 48 hours, if not 72. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions. But most importantly, get out there, be creative, experiment, and have some fun. Chloe, lunch break's over. Have you finished the script revisions? Thank you.